Let's go.
Sweet.
Start then? Yeah. All right. So basically, I think the way we decided we're going to do this, right, is just kind of look at our biggest takeaway for the week, right? And for me, that actually came on a trade yesterday, which wasn't a great trade per se in terms of P&L, but in terms of overall plan, thesis, and looking for confirmations, I would actually say it's one of my better trades in a while for the futures. So I did write up a post about this on TradeJournal yesterday. So I'm going to share that with you guys here. Second. How do I share? How do I share? Oh, share screen. And we're going to go TradeJournal screen 2. Share. All right. Can you guys see this here?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So this was really based on the higher time frames. Actually, my better trade in terms of P&L wise was in the morning. That was a long based on the 15-minute chart. It looks a little choppy on the 5 and the 1. But P&L wise, this was a better trade. Basically just risking this low and bounce off demand on the 15-minute candle. But I'm actually, since we're just looking to show the best of the best for the week, would be this second trade here. I gave myself an A- in terms of the overall grade, which for me is very rare. I try to never give myself an A. It's usually my better trades in the high B range. But so I'll just go through this quickly with you guys. As you can see, I took basically a scalp and sold it way too early. But yeah, so first off, we had a massive sell-off day on Wednesday, the prior day. Including the overnight session as well. We had rolled over quite a bit more. And then early in the morning, as you can see in the charts up here, it was pretty choppy in the morning through this range right here. So yeah, so at this point, right, we've had such a vicious sell-off from yesterday and overnight. I was assuming that it's pretty reasonable to look for some sustained bounces because at this point, we really hadn't had any, you can see the big sell-off day through here, tiny pop here, really no meaningful pops in any of this ranging area here, and then continue sell-off. We finally find some support on demand down here. So at that point, that was the first trade. We sold off a bit more, but we finally start finding some demand down here and officially start an uptrend. So at this point, I'm thinking we're probably going to have some type of sustained bounce at some point today. So I should be looking to get long somewhere in here. So finally holding a decent intraday uptrend. When I looked at the higher time frames, these charts below, I realized that we had broken the downtrend after the steep sell-off and we're retesting on the 30 and the 60-minute. So obviously, when you get a steep sell-off or a steep bullish move, it's hard to really put a trend line into that area because it's just too intense. So I will typically start a trend line in the more consolidated sell-off per se. And so I had noticed on the 30 and the 60-minute, we had broken that trend line and we're starting to give a retest. As well, we're getting some bullish action on the 4-hour chart, which might be hard for you guys to see, I'm not sure. You can see we have some demand here from as we were ranging through December and January. We finally broke that range, pulled back and found some support here. Moved up after this big sell-off from a couple of days ago. We were finding some support here. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, long is looking pretty good for a sustained move at some point here. The 4-hour chart, yep, I talked about that already. And then we're just also above VWAP for the first time on all the higher time frames. So again, kind of starting to look long. And at this point, I'm trying to look for as many confirmations as possible from the higher time frames to give me, because most of my trades are quite brief, based on the 5-minute chart. So if I can catch a reversal or any type of key level on the higher time frames, it's going to be a lot easier for me to catch those moves on smaller time frames. And so as all the time frames were starting to show strength and correlating to show that we most likely have a continued move higher, because at this point I glanced over to my trading view screen where I have a SPY on the 3-minute chart and I noticed something particular here. And that's basically that we are hovering right above the pre-market high. And so if you look on the 5-minute chart during this trade, this is in this zone here. So we'd already ranged from the bottom up to the top. and we move down here, I would guess a lot of traders, there might be some people trying to take a long off this demand zone here, but because we've just been so bearish, I was expecting that a lot of people maybe thought we were gonna maybe consolidate and then roll over again here. So once I looked over at the SPY chart, which I don't actually use that much, it's kind of just on the side, but I noticed we're holding above pre-market high. At this point, I basically told myself, I want to see us hold here. As soon as I said that, we broke it and then kicked right back up to reclaim it. And I was at that point looking for a close. It's actually this current candle. So this current candle wasn't even finished. This candle closed green, I believe. But either way, there was a wick through the pre-market high. And then at that point, my last kind of step was that I wanted to see it start moving the other direction and enter long on a pullback. I'm really trying to work on getting on the green side of the trade instead of just buying the dips randomly, because I notice I'm getting killed doing that. And so I kind of want to see some confirmation that we're actually moving in the other direction. And so it did start to move in that direction, although I didn't really get the pullback I was waiting for. So as I saw it moving, I just bought one contract on the ask, just one contract, because it was more so a test trade. I definitely probably should have sized up, considering the higher time frames were looking good. We hadn't really had that big bullish move after the sell-off, and then the holding of the pre-market high and the SPY. And so I probably could have taken it with more. But the second thing I told myself is I will at least hold this one contract, put a stop at break even. One of the worst things in my trading is I just sell too early. I'm still so scalp minded when I need to hold for the higher moves. Because as you guys can see, I stopped out. Well, not stopped out. I took profits right here. We consolidated, moved higher, and really I could have taken this with more contracts and got quite a nice move, risking the low here. So you're talking less than 5 points of risk for potentially 10 to 15 points on the upside. So and as you can see, we did retest these trend lines here and push higher from there. And so this is the trade I really want to share with you guys here, because this is how every trade that I take should feel like, where I'm just so confident in the move that I'm willing to put on a little bit more risk. These are the trades I should be risking more on, instead of taking these intraday little scalps midday with 2-3 contracts. It doesn't make sense. Maybe I can do that with 1 or 2 contracts, and then when I see a move like this, take it with 3 contracts and then add into it once it starts working in my direction. So yeah, so basically that means I have to wait all day. The lesson taken from all of this is just knowing where I'm at on the higher time frames, especially with SPY, and making sure that I'm not trading in the middle of any of these ranges. So if I'm trying to look for any trades on the SPY, I should be taking it at either some area where we've seen previous selling and buying on the higher time frames, and then I can trade the smaller moves with larger size to make the profit that is really worth it for me in my situation. So yeah.
Question for you. Yeah. Do you when you place a trade, when you're like in the middle of, ready to hit that buy button, are you looking at the 3-minute, the 1 minute, the 5-minute, the 30-minute?
I'm mostly looking at the 2 and the 5 for my actual entry. Yeah, so and as you can see on the 2, we're technically uptrending right on the 5-minute, but on the 2-minute chart, I just quickly, once we topped out here, just quickly drew a little downtrend. And once I saw this break here, I was looking for a pullback, but I had so many confirmations at this point from the higher time frames and from the pre-market low hold and bounce on the actual SPY. Just decided this is worth entering long right away. And sure enough, it really didn't pull back from my entry. So I guess improvements definitely hold this trade. Obviously, it did actually go higher than this. I can't remember where it finally topped out at. This is just where I took my screenshot at.
It's
yeah,
not bad that you took profits there. It's actually not bad that you took profits there. It actually didn't go up much further in the next candle. But, the other option would just to be to look to get back in on that. You see that bull flag right there, that quick, was that 2 minutes? So 6 minutes. 3 candles, 6 minutes, you have that bull flag, and then that candle does that quick 1 minute or 2 minute pullback, and then tests that previous high.
Yeah, I could have re-entered right here. I probably should have as well, but with large caps, I'm just my mindset is once I take a trade, I try not to get right back into one. Although in some cases like this one was definitely warranted, especially since it was confirming the move more and more. So I agree. In this instance, I probably could have taken this break and risked this candle here since I had already hopped out. But the ideal situation would have been to even put my stop at break even and just move it up as it continued to make legs higher.
Yeah, absolutely. And the large caps, with my experience so far, trying to trade the 1 minute on the large caps, there's so much like noise and so much to get shaken out from that, you're definitely better off, looking at those higher time frames.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. It's also, it racks up commissions, and it's so, especially with the futures, they're just so highly liquid. Well, really any large cap is so highly liquid. You can just hop in and out so quickly and overtrade it really easily if you're not careful.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you guys. Like me looking at that as kind of like my style of trading, I'm like bull flag, re-enter. But then I totally get you, Nate, with the fact that it's so easy to overtrade, and it's so much better to like just do like a one and done, or look for those 2 or maybe 3 trades tops. So
yeah.
It's
especially
tough.
for me, like the commissions actually do add up, in total. Like I think since I started this account, which is a month and a half ago, I'm already at $600 or close to $650 in commissions, which is, it's a lot because, but most of the time I was over trading ranges. I'm in the middle of the range taking 5 contracts, and every single time I take 5 contracts, that's like about $5.60 in fees. If I take 3 trades in one range, that's $15 in a day plus a couple more. So I was racking up fees very quickly. So I tried not to overtrade, but I do agree, Tom, in this situation, it would have been warranted to take that breakout, especially because your risk was very minimal on this. Yeah. And it was already confirming it's another leg to the upside.
And those commissions are per execution, right? So if you take partial size, you're paying that commission.
Yeah, no, it's per contract.
Oh, it's per contract. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's different than stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nate, for me,
go ahead, Colby.
I was just gonna say that like I know that I've been talking about this for a while now, but the whole idea of like knowing when you're scalping, knowing when you're taking a move to move, and knowing when you're taking a trade to hold, like that's like one of the things that is super important for us that we don't really do that much. So like whenever you were talking about this trade, you're basically saying I should have held, but the hard part is like how do you know where to hold to? So like my whole thing for like a move to move trade is it's basically always a trend continuation trade where you're taking a new higher low. You took that higher low right there to go long. Yeah. Well, if your thesis is that it's a front side trade, technically your entry on a higher low should create a new higher high after. So your sell spot, at least for me, I like to sell like 1 to 2 ticks below the last higher high. So that high to the left on the top right screenshot. Yeah, so I would sell like a couple ticks below that just in case we find resistance and make a new lower high for a backside trade. So like that's like a perfect move to move where instead you scalped it pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, like
I mean, profit like here on the 5 minute, probably just somewhere around here.
Yeah, like the thing that's so hard is that, bro, we had a 10-point drop the day before. So it's like, do you really want to hold into a breakout? Like I wouldn't, because that's a huge
long in general
move.
In a macro bear market is tough, especially with the previous high of day right here. We had just tested, obviously shown rejection right here. Actually, I almost took the long here. And so I missed it, obviously, and reevaluated and took it here. I think the top, to take profits into the high would have been a better spot, or to even just move my stops up as I go with it. But you're right. I treated this like a scalp when it really should have been a move to move trade.
Yeah.
And I definitely need to get better at recognizing which trade I'm taking when. Other than that, it was quite well planned out in terms of risk reward and confirmation wise. But I just really didn't have a take profit in mind. And that when you don't have a plan, right, you don't follow anything. You're just basing it off emotion.
Yeah, that's a 2 o'clock trade too. That's pretty crazy for a 2 o'clock trade.
Yeah, it was quite late in the session, and I wasn't even really kind of planning on trading. But once I saw all these kind of higher time frames lining up and us holding the pre-market high on the SPY, I was just super confident that this was going to move. But I'm trying to avoid buying dips, so I am like, I guess how happy that I waited to see it start to confirm its move and just get in early on that, because your risk really is not that much, because you could have bought this dip on this red candle here, which was the one that dipped below pre-market high on the SPY, and that could have just kept selling off. And next thing you know, you're holding a loser with no planned risk. At this point, I'm entering here with a set risk right here.
That gold line is VWAP, right?
Yeah, this is VWAP here, yeah. So I could have risked VWAP per se. But that's another thing, holding above VWAP as well, right? Is especially on all these higher time frames. We'd finally gotten above VWAP. But yeah, as you said also, Colby, is such a significant sell-off recently. It's hard to catch, and not hard to catch, but hard to hold a long trade. But we're also, we were due for some kind of pop at this point. You know, we're basically, this is the afternoon session. This is the morning session from the day before. So you're talking, what, 24, 30 hours, somewhere in here.
To me, honestly, that's a great trade. Even scalping, I wouldn't. I mean, you know me. My thesis is never go long in a micro backside market. So like, I'm basically saying, like, even today, obviously, we have these like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 higher lows on a front side on the SPY today on the 2-minute, and I didn't take fucking one of them. And what am I trading? Trend reversal shorts, because my whole thesis is that with that massive drop we had 2 days ago, we're going to make a lower high. We just don't know when. So anytime you're going long, you're basically just saying, I hope that this is not a lower high and we sell off here, because it's going to happen at some point. So like, if you are going to go long, scalp it. You don't want to hold it for like a crazy move. So if that was me trading
down.
Yeah.
I mean, look at we had 4 days of green. The SPY actually had 5 green days in a row. Maybe it was 4, but either way, that's like extremely rare. Even like on these huge drop days we had back in like March. And whenever you have like 4 green days in a row, and then in one day it deletes all of it plus some extra, like that's where the momentum is. That's where you make the real money. You're not going to make money going long in this market right now. I mean, unless we already have, like, if we're in that stage where it's dropping, everyone's, you know, we're like close to 348 or whatever the low was on last year, and everyone's screaming like, oh my God, the market's going to crash. The market's going to crash. The market's going to crash. That's when you should maybe be looking for longs. But like for the last 2 weeks, every single person I know is like, dude, the market's going to be crazy this year. It's going to be 30% returns. Like all these people I watch on YouTube, they're all super bullish. And it's like, whenever everyone's bullish, that's when you need to be really ready for that big drop. And me and Nate were talking about it this week, but like we so undercapitalized on that massive red day that, you know, that's part of my.
It felt so overdue too, right? It was just a strong bounce near big resistance.
Yeah.
Actually, Colby, or if Nate, if you're done, or feel free to finish your sentence. But I was going to say, Colby, if you want to go afterwards, it kind of feels like
I'll go ahead.
Fitting.
Yeah, Colby, you can talk about it, but just touch on this is actually something I should have brought up. You guys can see my main screen now, right?
Yeah.
Is this 15-minute chart here? We really undercapitalized on this, because obviously this is proven supply zone. I think this was CPI, bounced off it here. There was some other news here, I can't remember, news catalyst. Then an overnight session pop because the Bank of Japan doing something, I don't even remember. But we just tested the supply zone so many times, and when we saw it start getting aggressive here, both Colby and I, like around here, we're like, let's just not chase this, and that was a really crucial error. So
yeah, we fucked up bad.
Definitely.
Is there a lesson to take away there somehow?
Yeah, for sure. Just know your levels, right? At this point, this is a proven supply zone that we'd seen test so many times, and to see it just fail with such aggression through here, we should have known it would probably retest the bottom of the range. Because as you can see, I mean, CPI didn't do it. All these interactions, we could not break this zone. We kind of got real packed in the end of it here, and then to lose all that with the aggressive selling. I mean, both Colby and I think took a couple longs in here, which is just so dumb, man.
Yeah.
Hey man, I didn't take a long.
You didn't take a long? Maybe it was just me. But or maybe that was my other buddy. Maybe it wasn't Colby. But either way, we took some long. It was closer down here at this point, but on the 5-minute chart, it had just looked so overextended.
Yeah.
But you know, at that point, you're just fighting a higher time frame trend, which is dumb. I think it's here. Can you guys still see this here?
Yeah.
So this was the sell off on the 5-minute. And I think I started taking long somewhere down here. Maybe it was here. Maybe it was down here. I just felt that it was so overextended. But when you look in the 15-minute, I had no idea where I was. I was taking longs before we were even at like this demand zone here. So that's kind of added to that is why I started focusing the next day on really where we are in the higher time frames, because that is crucial for large caps for sure.
Yeah. You see this with small caps too, though. Like if you start trying to, this is why I don't usually trade backside, is because I'm a long bias trader. And once you're on the backside, at best, you're going to get that 2-3% pop. And talking small cap world, it's going to be different percentages for you guys. So you're going to get that small pop, but you're always going to risk that 5-10% continuation sell off. So it's just like a negative risk reward strategy when you trade, when you're long biased on a backside. So that's why long biased, you want to be over VWAP, you want to be trading the front side, because then it has those 10% pops and then consolidation, 10% pops, consolidation. So yeah,
that's literally like the golden rule of everything for trading for me, at least. Like that's really like number one thing always is like know where your trend is. If you don't know where it is and you're trading opposite of the trend, you literally are having a 1-to-1 risk reward with a 30% win rate. Like that is so badly negative. Like it's not even close. Like it's one thing if you have a 3R and you have a 30% win rate, but fucking you can't have a 30% win rate with a 1-to-1 risk reward. It's just terrible. That's like the worst.
And we all make that mistake. So it's not like pointing fingers or anything. And oftentimes you have to sometimes even make it once or twice till you realize, oh wait, we're on the backside here. What am I doing? Or whatever long or short bias you're doing. But
yeah, that's it. If I look back at my stats through 2022, obviously massive bear year in general. And most of the days I really got crushed were days I was just buying dips on aggressive sellouts. And that's simply because I had no idea where I was on the higher time frame.
Yeah, really good lesson. I guess Colby, you wanna dive right into it?
Let's get it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my first lesson is that if you don't know what the setup is that you're going to trade, you should never be trading that. And like I've done this, like, well, first of all, like whenever we started trading, let me set a timer real quick so I don't go too far. Whenever we started trading large caps last January, me and Nate were pretty much, we had no strategy. We had no idea what was going on, no trend following strategy, no trend reversal strategy. It was pretty much like, oh, the SPY is green today and it's popping right now. Let's long NVIDIA. Like that was our whole strategy for like 3 months. And then we evolve a little bit more. And then, you know, for the last like 6 months, I've been really trying to like find every parameter that I possibly can to give me more confidence in every trade that I take, which is basically knowing like, when is a trend continuation trade really good? When is it really bad? When are trend reversals really good? When are they really bad? And that's my whole idea of me making up those terms of like macro, micro, intraday, because if you combine them together, you can know like when a trend is going to be really good. Obviously, if we're in a macro bear market, micro bear market, and then which micro could be, you know, like I would consider right now a micro downtrend because 2 days ago we had a 3% red day. So like, on a day like today, it should be really good to take a trend reversal short. It should be, because you have the macro pushing down, you have the micro pushing down, and on the intraday, it's going up. So like whenever a trend reversal occurs, it should be the new lower high, and it should have like strong momentum to the downside. So this is yesterday's trading, and this is the day after the big red day, and we had like a little uptrend in the pre-market. And it started to come down, and I was like, I think today, I don't know why I thought this. I just thought today was going to go long, which this is yesterday. And I like instinctually just randomly bought a call option in my Webull account. That was like still a pretty good size. Like it was a 40 share, 40 delta, whatever you want to call it. And my whole thesis was Apple broke high of day. That was literally my entire thesis. And like, okay, that's so dumb to start, because you can't have a whole trade thesis on literally just like a one tiny little indicator. Like, why am I trading the SPY when one of its stocks breaks high of day? That is so dumb. So obviously I lost on this. And the whole reason is that I had no setup. There was no trend continuation, no trend reversal. There was, I mean, nothing at all. I mean, maybe like you could say this is like a higher low because this is the low of day and like I'm looking for a higher low, but I didn't have anything to risk off of. Like if that was the case, then I would have had to risk low of day. Well, what's my risk reward? What, like a point to the upside and $1.50 to the downside? That's awful. So that was stupid. And then I did it again, like an hour and a half later, I saw that we broke low of day, and this was a new low on the week, and we rejected really hard. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of nice, because making it lower low, you should continue technically if you're in a backside market. Since we rejected, I was like, this might go long. I wait for a pullback to risk off of this area. I get in, immediately lose. So I just lost 2 trades back to back, and then I had to stop trading. And then sadly, later in the day, you can see like, here's a trend right here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 contact points. And then we break it, pull back. This is the trend break area. I don't know why I'm not showing you the fucking chart, but this is the trend break area. And this is where I could have actually taken a long, and it would kind of a little bit make sense, because I could have gotten long in this area, which is the trend break zone. Obviously, trend broke. Now this is where you want to get in. And I could have risked low of day and had a reward. But even then, it's still not good, because, yeah, like after the fact, you can look up and be like, oh, wow, this had a huge green move. But I'm not holding for that in a backside market. I'm holding for a new high. So this red line right here, this is where I would have taken my profits. So this is still a negative R trade, because if I got in anywhere in this spot, I wouldn't have got in at the perfect low. Hell no. I would have been shitting my pants, because I would have got in right here and it would have been dropping the whole time. So I probably would have got in here, because this is where the oval area is. And that risk below compared to reward is still negative. And for a trend reversal, that's just pretty bad. But even if I took this trade and lost, I would have been way happier than taking these 2 trades, because these 2 trades, there was just no setup at all. And I was just trading based off of a hunch, which is just, it'll never work. So my main lesson is just never take a trade unless you can at least have a setup, because whenever I lose on a trade that I have a setup, I'm not that mad. Like, at least I had an idea, and like I can be wrong. Like, losses are part of the business of trading, and that's just how it's going to be. And yeah, my second lesson is that I need to always pay attention to where the macro trend is at, and always be ready for the next lower high whenever we're grinding up, because when these days occur, we have huge trends. And I never should just stop trading on a day where we have a massive trend and I got profitable. So this is the trend day where we had like, what was it? A 3% red day. The trade I took was fucking great. Like on a normal day, this is a great trade. Like it's an awesome, like I would have loved to just walk away and come back at the end of the day and this stock did not drop 3%, because I'd be like, oh, I had a good trade. Okay, so it looks great right here. Like I got in short. Right. So we have a setup. Good. Right. We have a lower high on the micro time frame, another lower high. This is the weekly high above. We fail. We have a trend line here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 points of contact. The trend breaks. We pull up. This is the trend break zone. I'm trying to get in as close to that spot as possible so I can risk the high of day. And since we dropped so much, you can kind of get in a little bit below it, because if it came the whole way back up here, we're going bullish. So I got in a little bit early, and then we get this awesome move lower where I get a full point on a 40 share, 40 delta options trade on Webull. And like, if you look at this day, like that's a damn good trade, because I mean, once the day starts, like if you ignore pre-market, from low of day right here to high of day, it's 398.40 to 400. That's like $1.50 total of the whole range of the day. And my trade was 1 point. So if I got 1 point out of $1.50 of the whole day, that's a fucking good trade. And but then watch this. So yeah, there's my trade up there. That tiny little piece of shit trade. Look at that. So I can't be mad at this, because like when I took this trade, I didn't know it was going to break down 3%. I had no fucking clue. I thought that was a great trade. And obviously it did break down and I missed out on 6 points of upside. So I sold this contract. I bought it at like 180, 180. I sold it at 222 and it went by end of day. It was at 680. So I left $400 of profit on the table. And since I got in this trade, knowing it was going to be a move to move. So the whole idea is like what I was telling Nate, on a move to move, you're looking for a trend continuation. I get in at the new lower high. I'm looking for a breakdown of a lower low. And I even sold lower than that because I was looking for kind of like a low of day retest. So that's a good trade for a move to move. But the problem is once it kept going, I just left and I was like, oh, you know, I didn't even think to try to scalp these lower highs. Like this is a really clean lower high. This is a lower high that's pretty clean. This is a lower high that's and then throughout the day it gets a little bit worse. But even by end of day we dropped. I don't know if this is the full day or not. Yeah, it is. But I just missed out on so much, and I don't know why that happened. So I basically went into this. Like how do I know whenever a new lower high is going to form? Because like we have these rare opportunities in the market where you can short right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, and then 2 days ago, where your risk reward is literally like 15R. Like if you get in early and you hold all day, and you're risking like high of day, and you're expecting an end of day, low of day, basically like it's going to close at the low of day, then that's like a ridiculous opportunity that only happens like, you know, here's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like 10 times a year you get that opportunity. Here's a green version of it, which is still disgusting because I don't want to long in a bear market. But yeah, so like I need to know more. Where are we on the bigger time frames? Like this is just a clear 100% every single fucking time. This is a huge backside market. We're hitting this massive trend line. We're at the 200 moving average. We have the 61.8 fib, and every single person in the entire world's talking about it, and it still worked. Like if everyone in the world is saying, holy shit, the market's at the 200 moving average, 61.8 fib, the big downtrend, and everyone's like freaking out. They're like, oh, the market might actually go higher. It's going to go higher. And it doesn't. Holy shit, get short, because that is crazy momentum when everyone's watching this stupid little line. Like you literally could have just sat on your ass all year and waited for it to touch this line and shorted, and you'd make like 50%, like on an options contract, way more than that, hundreds of percents. And I just don't know how I'm like, how many times do I have to see this shit to notice that that's like a once in a couple months opportunity? I just don't get it. And then right here, this is like my little, like you can see all these are whatever I call like micro uptrends. That's like the whole point of me saying that. And you can see like as the year goes on, they're getting weaker and weaker. Like this is super strong, like immediately up 10%. This is like a 15, 20% run straight up. This is straight up again. This is like getting a little bit more curved. And then most recently, this one was very grindy. It dropped a lot. And then now we're in another little tiny version of like this huge trend. And whenever like it's getting weaker into this massive downtrend, I should have been ready. Like I should have known and been ready for this massive red day that was going to occur. And I just didn't. And then like, this is the last thing I have to say, but this is the 30-minute time frame. I'm about to lose on this short that I'm still sitting in, but fuck me. But this is like the last like 5 days, or like the last like 6 or 7 days on the 30-minute time frame. We have just consistent higher highs back to back, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher low, uptrend. Okay, cool. You have a trend line right here. It has one more point of contact that's not in this screenshot, but we have 1, 2, 3 back there, 4 right here. I was short right here, and once we made a lower high, like we held this high here and we made a new lower high. That's whenever you should be like, okay, maybe sellers are about to step in here and it like really push this lower, because even on these days, like, yeah, we crashed huge here at the open. This was also like a CPI or PPI day or one of those, but we still made a higher high. So if you're making a higher high, the momentum is going to be mostly long. So you shouldn't really short this and be like, oh, we're going to drop 3% today. Same with this. We made a higher high and we dropped, but you shouldn't expect like a massive failure of the structure whenever we're still making higher highs. Once we made that lower high, that's whenever I should have been like, okay, this could actually really break the fundamental structure of the market right now, and we could move a lot lower. We break this trend, and then we just continue and continue for, I don't know, it was something like five or 6 points past where I sold. So yeah, I just need to be more aware of like, where are we in the market? How do I capitalize on these crazy trend days that only happen like 10 to 12 times like in a year? And if you get one of these days, you literally will make months of profit. And that's where I fucked up.
Well, like you said, how many times you have to see it to start actually trading it correctly. Every time you see it, and it's the same experience with us in the small caps. Like every time you see it, you're slowly getting more experience, and then you get more confident when you see that next setup again. And every time you see it again and again and again and again, after years and years and years, you just slowly build that library in your head, and that learned intuition, as Ross calls it. And you'll be able to take those setups. And when you do take that setup, instead of selling near that low a day, you're going to be adding for that continuation downwards, and you're going to be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, for sure. I like that learned intuition. That's cool.
I think this is why bad trades, like little messy scalps here and there, I'll share some I've had messy trades. They ruin our confidence. So they're not even that, 2% you would have made almost doesn't matter, because the confidence it ruins for that bigger focus trade is really the loss sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
I've been thinking about that a lot recently, because if you have like 3 red trades in a row on some shitty setup, and then there's a good setup, and you take your profits way too soon because you just condition your brain that nothing works. Well, you condition your brain that nothing works on bad setups. Now you're trading a good setup with the wrong mentality.
That's like my
Colby and I
entire.
have done that a lot.
That's why I have this as my main fuck up of the week, because whenever I take a trade, there's no setup. I'm just like, oh, I suck. And it's like, no, you don't suck. You just took a trade that literally had nothing backing it whatsoever. And like, those are the trades that are so dangerous, because you might win on that shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's the scary part. Like, when I take a bad trade and I win, holy hell, goodbye for the next 2 weeks, because I'm going to take that trade again. And it's like, and I'm going to lose like 16 times and be like, what the hell happened? Like, I was doing so good and I won on a shitty trade. That's why. So,
Amen.
Yeah.
So, quick question before we move on, unless someone else has more questions. What trend lines are you using here, just for reference? Like, you got a light blue, a blue.
Oh yeah. So pretty much any light blue that's like angled, that's like a 2-minute trend. And then this is VWAP.
Right.
And then I have a 200 moving average, which is the gray. The 50 moving average is the blue. And then the 25 moving average is this lighter one. The 25 has actually been really nice for identifying trends. And then the 50 is like a really good confirmation that if you get the trend reversal, you're right. If you get below that line, like if we're trending up and it's above the 50 and the 25, and we break below both of those and you're in a short, hold, because we're probably going to continue a little bit more. So
Can see it right at end of day there.
Yeah, literally. I mean, if you put a trend right here and it broke, and then you get in right here and we get below the 50 and the 25, boom, continued.
Yeah,
a lot.
Really good point. I might have to add a slower, because I have the 9 EMA, but maybe I should throw like a 13 EMA or something in there.
Yeah, I've had the 9 for a while and I just didn't like it. It's way too, you just get chopped up so much with large caps, at least.
Yeah, no, for large caps, the 9 EMA is too tight. But for me, trading the small caps, it like perfectly cups those bull.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes it breaks it lightly. Now those are even better.
When you say 13, Alex, you're talking for that same reason, to confirm the move almost? Because I know you're trying to work on holding more.
Exactly, because I'll get chopped out, exactly like Colby was saying, and then I'm like, wait a second, we're still in trend. Like, why did I do that? And sometimes I don't even acknowledge the fact that it cut, let's say, the 9 EMA, pop back above, and it's actually holding, which is really bullish. because you kind of had like a bit of a hammer candle. It came right back again. It's like, and then those oftentimes have huge continuations, but I won't even be getting back in it because I get super biased sometimes, and that's a frustrating place to be. So maybe having another confirmation.
Yeah,
remind
another
myself.
another way you could do it is to do like, even psychologically, if I can just put in like 25 shares, just put in 25, or for me, 25 shares is like super, super small size on a small cap. Just psychologically, me already being in the trade, it gets me to, it makes me feel like I'm more active in the trade, and then I can add to that position if I'm looking to find an entry. So even if you take, 24 very small size, let's say for you, maybe would be like a couple hundred shares, it gets you to look for that area to add instead of being like, oh, I can't find the entry. I can't find the entry. It's just ripping without me, and I completely missed the move. Because a lot of times you'll see that pop, go for that high a day, you wait for that pullback that never comes, and then it'll rip up another 10 or 20%. And now you're trying to wait for that dip, and it never comes, and then you feel like it's too extended. So if you can just put in that starter, even if you think it's still a little bit high, you're on such small size that a loss wouldn't do anything, but it gets you to be more willing to add risk if it starts to show more strength going into the high.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a little bit like the whole dipping your toes in, just you're already in it, so
For some reason,
you don't get
changes my
frozen.
psychology.
Yeah, no,
It's
I like
really
that a
weird.
lot. I like that a lot. Makes sense to me. Great share so far, guys. Tom, I guess, do you want to go or should I go?
Yeah, I can go. It's gonna be pretty quick. This week I didn't trade much because of the whole move and lots of things going on. So my biggest lesson then of the week is going to be when you're in a state of transition or you have a lot of things going on in your personal life, whether that be like change in work status, relationship status, family changes, traveling, relocating, etc. It's usually a good idea to either have no trade days, either size down if you're going to trade, and also trade less during the day, because your mind is like somewhere else. You're not completely focused on the day, because if you're in a state of, well, for me, I was moving, there's just so many things going on that I had to make sure had to be in order for me to complete the move. There was just had such a large to-do list that my mind wasn't completely focused in trading. And that actually, I was able to get, and actually caused me to get more emotionally triggered when I did take a loss, and I would quickly snowball into a bigger and bigger loss, and which happened when I was at a hotel. I was like, my goal was just to get small green, and I took a couple losses. I'm like, I just got to get small green, And then Alex was like, my worst days are the days that I have other things I need to get done. And
Agreed on that for sure.
and I just sit in the computer all day to try to make back losses and just snowball. So I was able to walk away. But for example, just that situation emotionally, like I wanted to stay in that seat. I wanted so bad to keep trading and try to make it back. But the best decision was to get back to what I needed to do so I can complete the move, because I had so many things going on.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Because I've noticed I do quite a bit of traveling as well, and every single time that I trade the morning of a travel day, I have what I call block days, which is well beyond max stop red days.
Yeah,
So I change them to block days, and it's almost every time I travel, I force myself into one, and it's usually before 10 o'clock, which I generally have a rule of. I like to give that first 30 minutes to see how the market starts to develop, see if it's ranging, see if it's trending. And then on my travel days, next thing I know, it's 9:53 and I'm double max loss. And I'm like,
yeah, and then
man,
you want
how
to
did
stay
that
there and try to
happen?
make it back. But I
Yeah.
get that's why, like, Ross, with someone like Ross, like he's got so much experience, and he said he's only took 1 week off when he was on vacation. Every other vacation he was working. He traded, And, I like his psychology or his mindset of just, if I can just get green and get out, for 30 minutes or an hour just to make some profits, it feels like you made some sort of progress, or you're taking advantage of, the market while it's open. So I do subscribe to that. Like if I can trade, I will trade, but there's got to be that line in the sand where you're like, if you don't want to be spending your vacation sitting on the computer, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
We're upset about a red day.
Yeah,
And
that
what's
too.
the
Yeah,
point of
or
vacation?
upset. Yeah, that energy, that negative energy, you're going to be carrying with you for the rest of the day.
That happened to me in Utah recently. This last year, we wanted to get up early because it was going to be a powder day, and it was like a Thursday or something, which is typically a good trading day. So I was like, all right, well, in Utah, I get up at like 4 something, and then which is basically 7 a.m. Well, it's 5 a.m. is 7 a.m. So I got a little bit of time to trade, and that was a max loss day. I had over $1,000 red day. And it was because I was even in a trade and I was like, all right, I got a couple more minutes for this trade. So I just rushed it, cut it, popped up. Then I chased it, flushed again, stopped out again. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like, like I know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it all wrong because I got a place to be. And then that whole ski day, I was like
Thinking
kind of
about it.
upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even enjoying the moment at that point.
Yeah, that really sucks. So when I went to North Italy and Zutiol for skiing last year, I just took the whole week off. And then after that trip, I didn't open my laptop once on this trip. And I don't think I've done that for years. And then after that trip, I had 20 green days in a row.
Holy hell.
So it's just
Yeah,
like,
good.
boom. So I missed some good trades that week. Somehow it happened to be one of the better weeks last week. That's last year. That's always how it is somehow. But I don't know. I think net it probably was green that whole experience to take those days off. So yeah, I subscribe to what Ross says too, and it's hard not to want to trade, but time off is also really powerful.
Yeah, definitely powerful to have time off. But a lot of us who have like this positive mindset of like we're gonna make money every single day. When we take a day off, it's like I just like I don't know. It feels like I'm missing out. It feels like I should be green or is going to be green today. But sometimes, taking that day off, you actually could be avoiding a red day. So you just have to think about that flip side as well. Like you never know if you took that week off. If you didn't take that week off at skiing, could have been a red week.
And then you'd have two expenses. It's tough, man. You took your birthday off recently, right?
Well, it's because we're off.
Okay. It was Monday.
Martin Luther King Day.
Okay,
I wouldn't have taken the day off, but
hey, you could have traded
just happened
futures,
to be
man.
off.
Nate, shut the fuck up.
We trade futures, right?
Dangle the options and futures in front
No,
of you.
seriously, bro. If anyone's the biggest DJ I've ever fucking met, it is Nate. Okay.
So good. So good. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's
I think
it. That's all I had to share.
Nice. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, sorry.
No, go.
Dude, like we are all so addicted to trading, it's ridiculous.
Dude,
Like
so addicted.
Like we don't even know how addicted we are. Like we just think like, oh, I'm just trying to make money. No, the fuck you aren't. Okay, like it's a bad day to make money. Like how many signals do you possibly need? Like you're literally driving across the country and you're like, it's no big deal. I'll just take one trade. Yeah, okay. Literally, like legit.
Have any of you guys gambled in a casino?
Poker, that's it.
Not really.
Nah, I don't even like that stuff, to be honest. I don't like going to casinos or anything. I'll have poker night with friends sometimes, but that's about it.
Yeah, I've never done either. I think it's just I don't know. I just like I guess it's a dopamine rush when you trade. When you have a nice green trade, like that feeling is just it's so amazing. I have to keep trading.
Yeah.
I can't stop this. It's just because I don't know.
know.
It feels so good to wake up and find that trade, and if you can sometimes you successfully have that perfect trade, and it just feels amazing.
I mean, who doesn't want to wake up, open their laptop, sit at home and make money, man?
Yeah, that's nice. How's your guys' partners? Are they like, because I know mine's always like, how's the market today? And I'm like, oh, nothing's happening. And she's like, well, then you shouldn't be trading.
Hey,
Don't
at least
my
she knows.
My girlfriend knows more of my trading rules than I do. And, if she was trading, bro, and I taught her how to trade, she'd be a fucking millionaire next week. I swear to God. Dude, the other day, this is so funny you said that. I fucking had like that nice trade on the big red day, whatever. And I was just sitting there. I was like, you know what? I feel really good about the market recently. Like, I feel like I really like understand something that I just didn't know about before. And my girlfriend came over here and I was like, babe, I really think I cracked something. And she said, whoa, calm down. Okay. I've heard this shit before. Every
Oh,
single time
geez.
you say you crack something, you have a big red streak. So you better humble yourself. And I was like sitting there like, damn, bro, I got to drill
Taking notes.
But
Take
she's
some
right.
notes.
I've been red for 2 days since then. It's like, yeah, it's hilarious.
Dude, it's so true. It's stressful. Yeah, I'll quickly do mine. It should be pretty straightforward. I have a few trades I just snippet, took a screenshot of. I was also going through the tickers with you guys, SPY and /MES and all that fun stuff. So I just have,
man.
yeah, I just have, that's why I was asking. So I was trying to make it look like my chart so I could kind of walk through them with you guys. So I just update my watch list. I titled this week more of the good, less of the bad. And that's kind of what I was saying, you know, those little trades that you trip over and then you miss the good stuff. Just a quick little analysis, make sure I know the big macro stuff. I don't like to be in trades when macro news drops, unless it's kind of like unnecessary and like not so important, like building permits, but like PPI, CPI, all that stuff. I mean, you don't want to be in a trade before, unless that's your trading strategy. But if it's not, then freaking run for the woods. And then I took a little bit of notes of what you guys were saying, but I also kind of put my lesson here. Actually, right here, it says short week, a little bit slower than the previous, but still some big opportunities. Short, slower as in less. I felt like there was less action, but there was still big opportunities. I walked away with $500 profit this week, so not like crazy, but at least it wasn't red because I've been pretty sloppy lately for many reasons. I don't even know. Obviously, because I'm trying to hold longer and it really is throwing me around. I talked about that last week. So, you know, two scratches, and then yesterday I made 300, and then today I made 2 something. So basically $500 profit week. I'll quickly talk about these trades that I mentioned here, and they're pretty much all open, but I'll just open it again one-on-one so I don't forget. The main lesson, though, that pretty much every trade talks about is limit downside, but not limit upside. I don't know if I feel like the grammar there could be better, the syntax, but there's so many times where I cut a trade for no reason, and I'm basically limiting the upside, or I get out of the trade for no reason. But then I let the trade run to my max stop. And Nate was talking about that last week, where it's like, if you're going to let a trade run to your max stop, you got to at least let it run to your first profit zone, so you have a 1-to-1 risk reward. Otherwise, you know, what are you doing?
Unless you're scaling out of losers, and no one does that.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of the situation that happened this week. Let's see. So here's a trade I closed out right before a major rally, although no new lows were in or a stop happened. And this was 10 minutes after the market opened. So this was CY80, the big runner. And I'm looking for that higher low to come in. Might be a little bit hard to see here on the 1 minute, but basically we had a big sell-off. I took some trades here. This is the 1 minute chart, by the way. I took some trades, made a little profit, closed it out. And then I sized in again right here on this higher low. It popped up barely to the 9 EMA. I closed it. And
look at that entry.
Yeah. And right afterwards, it just rips up. And then I do some FOMO trading. And I think I had a big loser here. And then I was like, well, great. That was like purely emotional trading.
You hold that trade, that's what, 80% winner?
Yeah, I think it would have been like an 80% winner. It would have been really, really nice. Let's see, this is the 5 minute. I think I can go back far enough. Yeah, this one. I had an entry literally like right here. It popped up barely and I just closed it. And then I was like, why did I do that? And then I didn't get back in. And yeah, this was even bigger. I mean, from my entry here to, it was like 100+ move. I think I would have sold mostly around VWAP, especially on the break of VWAP. I think I would have probably sold everything. This
But
move
that's already at least a 2. That's what got to be a 3-to-1 risk reward at least, right? 4-to-1.
Yeah, I mean, you're barely risking like 5% here, and actually probably even, yeah, okay, you're all yeah, definitely risking maybe like 5%, but yeah, exactly. The risk
40% upside.
And
yeah, I'm
it's
surprised you didn't take that through the next leg. Actually,
me too. I was so shocked. I was like, why didn't I trade this on VWAP? Why didn't I trade it here? And then because I didn't trade all this and I had so much FOMO, I started trading, these worse setups later. But this was such a big pullback. We were at the 78th percentile. I usually don't use the what's it called, the regression Fibonacci retracement, but I did this in hindsight just to kind of throw some lines on top of my typical daily support and resistance that I draw. And it was kind of interesting how perfect they were this time. And I did it from, if you guys don't know how this works, it's pretty straightforward, but you go to Fibonacci, and let me just do it on the 5-minute chart so it's a little bit easier to see. Let me remove it. So all I did was go to Fibonacci retracement. I went to this 45, and the high here is 386, which is like, yeah, there it is. And that's all I did. And you can see it perfectly went to that support zone. So yeah, the mistake here again is, oh boy, is exactly what I said with limit downside, but not the upside. I should have had my stop in place, that's simple. And if I get executed, if the stop gets triggered, so what? But otherwise, move the stop up, so on and so forth, or take profits along the way. I've been doing that. And it's actually been working really well, especially when we're stuck in a range. I'm not trying to blindly trend follow forever. But yeah, just let it run. Let's see, literally same thing again. This was the trade I shared in the swing trading section today. Beyond painful. Now,
oh, man, that's tough.
It's so fucked. Oh,
man, yeah. After this happened, APR, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. So this situation, we have a higher low here. We have this sell-off, we pop up, and now we're kind of forming that stare again. I know it doesn't really look like a stare, but this was a higher low, or no, this was the low, and now we're holding here. It's not perfect. Technically, this is the higher low. So I should have been entering here, and I think that might have been the problem because I was holding this so long, and I was red on the day already, I think at this point. So I was, oh no, this was yesterday. I think I was slightly green, but like by $90 or something. No, yeah, yesterday was a $300 profit. Now I remember that was Wednesday when I was slightly green and I was just like, I need to stop. Or Thursday, Tuesday, it doesn't matter. The point is, at this trade, I was so exhausted. I was kind of done with trading and I just kind of closed it when I should have just put a stop in and basically left. And it's pretty much that simple. Again, limit your downside, not your upside, because I would have been down to hold here and stop out. So why am I not down to at least hold to VWAP, the break of VWAP, and at least watch this 9 EMA and follow the trend? I mean, look how perfectly that held this trend.
Yeah, that's wild.
I don't know.
And so where you took profit, that's not even 1-to-1 risk reward, or it's hard to tell because
this was a loss. I lost $30 on this.
Oh, okay.
So like it was,
so it wasn't even held to your maximum stop either, though.
No, I was just kind of red, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't like this trade. I'm going to close it. So,
yeah, see, that's tough because it's like I said earlier, if you don't have that specific risk or target in place, you end up trading it off emotion. Yeah, it's the same reason I took profits on that trade that I should have just held through, simply because I didn't have. I had a set risk, but I didn't have a profit zone, so I just 1-to-1 took it when I could have got 2-3-to-1.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I think for me, the problem is like it's a little bit of a new strategy.
So damn, those are 1-minute candles too.
Yeah, these are 1 minute. I mean, look at the 5 minute.
Like 5 minutes.
The 5 minute looks like a freaking SpaceX rocket just went up. I mean, it literally barely pulls back. Even the red candles are tiny. This one's obviously a little hectic at this point, but I mean, that's already a giant move. anywho, this ticker has like no volume. So there is something else I said here. Like I mentioned a lot of my videos, like, trade the best, leave the rest. And the best usually is a ticker with over 1 million plus in shares being traded. So like, yeah, I probably shouldn't even be trading this ticker because there's more exciting stuff. For example, GNS. And I don't like trading sub dollars. That's why I didn't trade GNS. And then it was up like 15x today. And that just makes me really uncomfortable. But I just wanted to point this out here. And on the 5-minute, you can see where this arrow starts. It's right here. So this gives a little bit more perspective. But here, guess what? We have a higher low here, technically. We held support below VWAP. We popped back up. And guess what? We're making that another higher low right here. This is a good 5-minute setup. And it's just continuation from there. We're above VWAP. So that would have been something great. And look at the volume here, over 1 million shares being traded per minute. Guys, this is the hot ticker. This is where all your eyes need to be, at least for me and my strategy. Like, why am I not trading this?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be too focused on something with no volume or something like that.
Yeah, just a quick question, Alex. Can you go back to that chart for you? If you were planning to enter on that where that arrow is, are you entering on the pullback, or are you entering on the once it holds VWAP and starts a breakout?
So my old, not really old strategy, I still kind of do both, which is not healthy. But the way I have been doing it is typically I'll be trading these candles for a breakout. And then I wouldn't trade this, but I would trade it on this green candle looking for the breakout
Once it
again.
starts to recover, yeah.
So like I don't buy into sell-offs usually. Now, as I'm trying to hold a little bit longer, I'm trying to make sure I have better risk reward. So I would probably start sizing in on the 9 EMA with like VWAP as my stop or something. But then I also want to remember, if I close and I stop out and it does pop back up, it's okay to re-enter. I really want to drill that into my head, because so many times
once it confirms the move.
Right. There's so many times I stop out and I just say, okay, I'm done with this ticker. And then literally 2 minutes later, it does the move. So that's just how stocks are. They try to shake people out. They try to get people on the wrong side. So it's okay to stop out. It's actually great. Take a small loss, but then be ready to change gears again. Stop being butthurt and go for it. And don't wait until it's over here and then start having FOMO and then getting in. Right. So that's
Alex, before you leave that chart, for me at least, like if I'm doing any trend trading, if I'm not willing to hold for the previous higher low, like that entry spot, like right above VWAP, if you're not willing to hold for the breakdown through the last low, then you shouldn't even be in that trade, because if you're going to look for the upside, you have to hold for the trend to hold. And if the trend's going to hold, it's just going to make a higher low. So the only, like, that's why I've been thinking a lot recently about the, like, where's the fundamental break of this structure? And the fundamental break of that structure would be a new lower low, because if it's in an uptrend, it should make a higher low. So if you're going to get in on a higher low, you have to risk at least the previous higher low, or it makes no sense to even trade it.
So you're saying screw VWAP. You're saying maybe something like
stop those lows.
Yeah.
That might require you to enter a smaller share size, but you can always add once it starts to confirm the move.
Like I literally have a trade that I took right now that I just lost on. And I swear to God, I stopped out 1 tick below the high. And if I would have put my stop at the high exactly, I would have made, I would have been green on the day. And I just lost because I had my stop 1 tick below the high. Because that would have been that, to me, that was like, oh, the fundamental structure change is above the high. And I put it right below the high instead of putting it at the high, and I just lost. And now this is continuing to go, and I'd be up 10 points right now. But
yeah, so that was too tight of a stop, basically.
Yeah.
I totally feel you there. And I think with sizing in smaller, I think is a good idea at first, and then adding into the winners is sometimes a good idea. Maybe this market is a little tough right now, but in markets with a bigger continuation, we are getting more continuation lately. But like when you're scalp trading, you typically know it's a good trade like right away. And when it's a red trade, you're typically already red and you just get more and more red. So it's I know with like futures and SPY, there's a lot of chop action, and large caps, there's a lot of chop action, but probably in a general, if you compress that time frame, it's kind of the same situation. So in a way I could, when I realize you know, especially at this point, I'm getting more and more green. Like, let's just keep adding into this winner. Probably not adding into it as it's going down. You don't want to add into the losers.
No.
Let's
I
just
learned that the hard way.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds so illogical because it's like, oh yeah, let me reduce my, you know, cost per unit, but it's
You can add lower. I allow myself to add lower if the structure is still valid, like Colby says. You know, if it
Yeah.
hasn't broke the structure
Yeah.
to your downside risk, you can actually get a better risk reward if you keep your stop loss, your mental stop, and add lower. It's still you're actually getting a better risk reward.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's true.
I do agree with that. I think the problem is you mentally move your stop potentially.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. As long as you still follow your original trade idea. I
Yeah.
think
I do remember when
that's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember when I used to trade small caps, which seems like forever ago, but my biggest days were always red days. And it was always because I was trying to average down right at around the point I would stop. I would get a flush through, stop all of them out, and it'd just be I just like would want to flip that stat around because maybe you're in a winning trade, it's looking like it's going to break out and you add to it and it doesn't work. Well, you still take a moderate sized loss because you're adding ideally smaller once you're already in the green. But if it does break out and move in the direction that you think it's going to, that's going to wipe out days of losers.
Yeah.
So it's something that we could all be doing. Large caps, small caps, doesn't really matter. And I definitely need to get better at that. And that's the reason why I'm trying to see confirmations of moves now, buy into the strength, and then add, which I need to still practice a lot because I'm pretty sure
I guess adding into losers it works. It can work, but it's definitely more of an advanced thing to do. And I think we're all capable of it at this point. But especially when you're just starting out, especially right now, because I'm pivoting strategies a little bit, it becomes a little bit more subjective. But yeah, I think adding here is totally fine. But then if it's down here and you're adding,
don't be adding there.
Then at this point, you should be probably getting close to cutting. And like somebody mentioned, then if it flushes, then that quick 5%, then you're really in for it. But yeah, I'll quickly.
I think if you added above VWAP there, that's not a bad average down there.
Yeah, I agree. That's still a very appropriate add. This trade wasn't really like super exciting. XTRX, I had some really nice trades early on here, but I actually was talking about this trade here where we kind of start a trend back to the upside. It's below VWAP. And for a long time, I didn't trade below VWAP. And I think this is why I'm messing up these VWAP trades so much because I don't have a lot of confidence in myself yet. But it's a nice front side here. But I basically get in awkwardly on the breakout and then I take profits right away again. It was like really scalpy. I think it was basically a scratch trade. When in reality, I could have been buying here along the 9 EMA and wait for that move to VWAP. This is not a great example, but it's just, again, one of those like very reactive trades when I should be kind of just following the trend a little bit better. In this beginning area, I did kind of like my classic trading. This was actually pretty good. But again, I bought here and I took profits here and then it rips up this section right here, which was really big profits, or it could have been. So again, I'm limiting my upside, but I'm not really limiting my downside as well. So again, limit downside, but do not limit upside. Obviously, if you're in a range trade, take profits at one point, have your profit target, but let these trades move and start taking some profits off the table depending on your strategy.
100%. There's really no reason we shouldn't be letting the market work for us. That's the whole point.
Yes.
Taking scalps and a move that is actually trending in the direction that you think it's going to go is just really dumb, man, because you're almost working harder than you need to. Let it do the work for you.
I totally agree. It's a total waste of time to be fighting the trend. Here's an example where I kind of fought the trend. I bought and then I quickly closed, but I still got some of this flush here. So I bought here, flushed, and then I quickly closed. Luckily, I closed, but again, kind of fighting the trend, just had that big flush below VWAP. That was a bad trade. What I wanted to talk about here again on this one was we had a higher low here. So we had a sell off, sell off, sell off, and now a higher low. I entered and it came up to VWAP and I took some profits. The problem was, for some reason, I closed out some share size pretty early on. And then I again closed the last share size here for no reason on a green candle up when I missed all this upside potential. So here again, I limited my upside.
Looks like almost half your position too, right? Or
Yeah, very
a chunk of it.
frustrating just to do the same mistake. And that's kind of where the scalper comes out, because it's like, technically as a scalp trader, it would have been really nice, but oh man, it's frustrating. The last trade I want to just quickly share here is ALLY, and this ticker I traded today, and it actually ended up grinding up pretty nicely. But honestly, I think I would have got a heart attack if I just held this whole time, so I don't care about it. Plus, I would have got stopped out.
That shit's ugly grind.
It's a terrifying grind, yeah. But this ticker is up on earnings. It's a large cap. It had a big spike up, and now it's pulling back to the 9 EMA. 5-minute breakout. We're above the former 5-minute candle, which is very bullish. So everything is looking good. So I start sizing into this candle, pulls back a little bit more. Here, I'm kind of ready to cut. It pops back up, and then I add into my winner at this point, and then it rides up here to the 30, which if you see on the daily, 30 is just big time resistance. I was looking for that false breakout of 30, and then I took my profits and walked away. Now this was perfect. I think I did everything right on this trade, and I was very happy about it. It's not like a huge winner or anything like amazing, but I'm just happy about my execution. So I wanted to share it really quickly with you guys of what a good trade, in my opinion, would look like. I didn't blindly think, oh, let's let this one run, because, you know, right now the SPY is kind of going red. It did recover fully, but at the time it just had a huge morning panic. And this is a large cap, and large caps follow the market. So let me not blindly hold this. Big resistance here, big supply zone. Let me take my profits. Who knows what's going to happen, but let me just end the week.
It did break that high though. That's the one that was grinding up later, or no?
Yep. This is the grinder. So,
but that's just ugly. That's
it's
like,
ugly,
that's
and
not worth it.
So yeah, to me, it's a different trade. It's not really what I wanted. I was basically trading the range here, and this was the low, or this is the mid range, and this is the high range. And I just this is almost a range trade in my opinion.
In that instance there, yeah, that was a really good take profit.
Yeah, it's just too much risk otherwise.
Yeah, for some reason, I always end up like holding long trades into supply zones and getting no continuation. And then I scalp the ones with like a huge gap that it could fail for some reason. So
yeah,
I feel like I have so many stats I just need to flip around, and it would
you'll get there
better, you know.
Being aware of them is step number 2. And I guess the last thing I wanted to mention here is, oftentimes when you touch these supply zones, you'll at least get one big rejection off of it. So yeah, it could break later on, but at least expect a little bit of rejection first. So
that one's ETB, man. You could have hopped in short.
Shut the hell
taking
up.
Profits.
Short the grinding green, baby. Me and Nate is special.
Dude, I don't know if I'll ever flip from long to short in the same ticker, like the same minutes. That's heavy.
Yeah, I almost did it yesterday and it would have worked, but it's probably not a good habit to get into.
That is reckless.
That's a good example of a move to move trade in like a large cap that's not a mega cap. Like me and Nate trade mega caps, but I like that. Well, it was a higher low and straight to a new higher high, selling right into resistance because it's in a macro backside move, and that's great.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, that's why I don't say I don't trade large caps. Like I didn't love the setups today, so I was just looking what the top gainers were, and then ALLY popped up, and yeah, sure, it's a large cap, but I was like, you know what, this is a classic setup. Like price action is very clean right here. Let me just jump on it.
That's half your weekly profits right there.
You can still. Yeah,
I sized in a little bit more.
A lot of shares on that too.
Yeah, you almost have to, because I mean you're not getting that 10% move, right? This perfect top to bottom is like 3%, so you gotta 3x, 4x your size a little bit here. I've been trading pretty small share size this week, much less. Like I'm doing like $3,000-$4,000 per trade, and this trade with Ali was $12,000 or $13,000, just to put it in perspective. But yeah, that's all for me.
I want to show you guys some Max Payne real quick.
Yeah, give it to us.
This is like a perfect example.
What's the trade you just took?
Yeah, watch this fucking shit. Just fuck me. Okay, hold on.
Stop the high.
All right, so Got a nice little trend up here, right? There was another trend right here, but this trend broke and I took a short right here and I lost. So that was my first loss of the day. And then I redrew the trend because whenever you have a trend and it breaks to the upside, you have to redraw it. So I deleted this one and then I waited for it to break again. It breaks right here. I enter short and then I stop out like at a random area. And I'm like, why the fuck did I even just stop out? Like I should be stopping out at the high. So I instinctually, the DJ in me just gets right back in, right? I short right at the same spot I just sold at for no fucking reason. Breaking one of my rules, which is if you have two back-to-back red trades, you have to stop. So I broke that rule. So that's great. And then I put my stop, I thought at the high exactly, but if you look, I literally put this 1/10 of a point on the futures low from the high. So that is 5 fucking cents on the SPY. Okay. So I literally stopped out 5 cents from the high right here. And my target was right here at 43. So if that wouldn't have happened, I would have made 7 points. That would have put me back to like break even or a little bit green on the day. But instead, now I'm down $50 because I fucked up and I didn't put it at the high. So that's just my little.
I always go two ticks above.
Yeah, I should have. That was just
because sometimes
insane.
they fake 1 tick and they take out everyone that has their stop one tick above.
Like I literally, if I would have put it 1 tick higher, that's what $1.25 extra risk to get my trade. And just because I put it that little bit below, it's like, damn, stopped out for $1, could have made 50.
I think that's such a good lesson is what's the overall trend reversal, right? Where's that higher high? And like you pointed out on my trade, and that would have made me tons of money this week. That
for sure.
That would have been a $3,000-$4,000 trade that I just cut short for no reason.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Fuck
wow.
Trading.
That was a really
man.
good review call today. I think.
Yeah, I like that. That was solid, man. And it's funny because a lot of the lessons that, even though you guys are trading something completely different than Colby and I, it's a lot of the same principles. Relate to all of us.
Yeah.
That trend trading strategy you're doing, Alex, is like identical to everything that we're doing. So like when I see that, I'm like, damn, you really need to risk that previous low or that higher low. Because it's like, that's where the structure is broken. And that's where I'm looking at for my large cap trades. So
yeah, but that's similar logic. And I think even Tom could benefit from it because it's like, okay, well, what's the general trend? Are we higher lows right now? Even though, you're breakout and then you're on the market orders, buy, sell, it's heavy, but at least we're, if it's the trend is in the right direction, that's healthy. As opposed to making that low, it's not even high of day or something like that. But I think you already know that it's kind of like the most basic.
There really is like a pro and con relationship with the scalping versus holding longer in small caps. A lot of the times when small caps are just not hot, when you're trying to hold long, like a longer term, you're going to get stopped out a lot of times in that sort of market. And it seems like, at least last year, there's a lot more days of choppy small cap market versus, trend, like a solid trending tickers on the day. And on those days where it's choppy, I'm actually able to be green on those days through just scalping. I can profit off of a false breakout, and then I can profit off of the dip after the panic sell off after the false breakout. That's the other side of the scalping as far as the benefits that come with that.
Yeah, I agree. This year was
I do miss out on a lot of profit though. If I can learn to identify the type of market where you can hold longer, and if I'm able to switch that intraday or, identify that earlier in the day, I could definitely benefit from that as well.
I think it's exactly what Colby said in the beginning. And I actually watched a video, I think of that Wolf trader guy who was a soccer player. I forgot his name.
Roland Wolf.
Yeah, Roland Wolf. That's him. He was saying exactly what Colby was saying, where it's first thing is you want to identify what market you're in. You always need to figure that out first. And you know what? If it's summer 2022 where nothing's happening, like don't look for that 100% front side continuation because you're just not going to get it. But if it's, you know, the GME, Saga, AMC, XYZ, you know, during
Even GNS today was not today, yesterday. If you could identify that early, put in a stop and let it ride.
I started adding a game plan to like my watch list every day just to think about the macro trend. Just, okay, what's overall, what are we seeing? Oh, we've been seeing a lot of poppers. We've been seeing a lot of multi-hundred, you know, multi-thousand% moves. Okay, well, we could see that continuation, but it's still very choppy. So, you know, take your profits. And so it's kind of get yourself in that mindset, I guess you could say.
Always have the same strategy, always tweak it a little bit. Are you scalping? Are you move to move? Are you holding? Like, and you just got to base that off of where the macro side is.
Amen. Amen. Hell yeah.
Anyone miss that 2020 continuation?
No, nice. I can't wait for the next one. It's gonna happen. We're gearing up for
20 years from now, probably.
Dude, rates are pausing.
$500 account.
Dude, rates are pausing in like I think March or April this year. That's what they're supposed. Like everyone's saying, the next hike is on February 1st. It's going to be a 25 basis point hike, and then they say that like the Fed's probably going to pause raising rates. They're going to keep it at 5% for like 6 months. The probability is like 60% according to this Fed watch tool thing I use. But
I think they should hold. They definitely shouldn't drop rates. I don't think.
Right now the consensus is they're dropping in November.
Yeah, even if they do drop though, I don't think you get that crazy bull market. That was just so much euphoria in the market. Like everyone downloaded Robinhood. Everyone was a day trader, you know. So I mean,
rates at zero.
Me. Yeah, for real. But yeah, overall, no, I thought it was a good review session. It's good to I need to take notes next week as well, Alex. That's a good idea.
Yeah, fair enough. There's no holidays, right, coming up here, or
no, I don't think so. No.
Next holiday is the Fed rate hike.
Yeah, Feb 1st. It's Feb 1, right?
February 1st, yeah.
Always on point with those.
I am. I'm ready.
That's so good.
Yeah, sounds good. I really enjoyed it though. It's good to hear all your guys' perspective and to give each other feedback.
Yep, I agree. It was a good one.
Sweet.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend.
Sounds good. Take it easy, boys. Bless up.
Ciao, ciao.